Well, you're ready.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to the North Bend City Council work session for Monday, June 26, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. I'd like to call the meeting to order and also recognize that we have a counselor online today, Counselor Larry Garbodin, aka Larry's iPad. After calling the meeting to order, we'll go ahead and begin with public comments. And I believe I have one person here in person, Mr. Andrew Brainer, and you come on up. And I'll also take a moment of privilege and read the item that was found in basket, because it's a nice little message. And it's just a found in basket this morning on 6/26/23. So we're not sure when it was left, and it was from Roger McIntyre over on Union Street. And Roger wanted to just make a note in support and say, I wanted to give my support and express my appreciation for Mayor Engelke for her administration and the good job she was doing. I'll take it. So thank you there, Mr. McIntyre. All right, Mr. Brandon, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
Okay.
It's been a busy day, but good day.
I bet. Well, before you begin, I will go ahead and read our public comment statement. And we do like to make sure we say thank you to all who are participating in public comment this evening. The public comment period is an essential part of local government meetings, and each person has 3 minutes to speak. Our governing body takes the input into consideration. However, in observance of Oregon open meeting laws, this isn't a time for dialogue, but rather a time for us to listen to you. Our city administrator and city recorder are taking notes of any action as needed. So you have your 3 minutes.
All right. Thank you, Madam Mayor and council and staff, city manager, and everybody here today. As I said a couple of weeks ago, this Thursday will be our town hall. I'm going to call it the town hall meeting with our community businesses regarding our homeless crisis. And we have the opportunity that we're gonna have 15 panelists that are community resource partners that I work with and that we work in with the community. It's for 3 hours from 2 to 5 p.m. on Thursday at the bowling alley on the deck there. And I want to thank Mark Matichek for opening it free of price. And there's also people have asked comments about if you don't have a local business, may still attend and listen. I said yes. But I did let people know that it is for the businesses. And if we have no time for more questions, they can ask as well. And the panelists are willing to do that. So it's a big crisis we're having, as we all can see right now. But I think it's a great opportunity to find out currently what's going on and what our resources do. Since I have 1 minute and 49 seconds remaining,
Go for it.
I want to give a nice testimony. On top of my job duties today, he calls me his big brother. He was homeless today. And thanks to our partners of the Gospel Mission and his caregivers, I got him in just shortly, taken care of for a month until he gets permanent housing, which he will have. So that's my testimony of what my day was like, that we do have good community resources for people that do want help and get the opportunities. I am so blessed and loved in this community to be I'm sorry, it's been a day.
Yeah.
I'm so blessed to be in this community for all the great people that we have that are willing to help for those that need help. And I will end up by saying that. And thank you again for the opportunity to come forward. And I hope everybody can attend the big meeting. Yes, it's for 3 hours, but as Madam Mayor and our city manager, and for those attended with our faith-based, that time does go by fast. And it is very fulfilling that you will receive great information of currently what's going on. So thank you.
And just to clarify, on that meeting on Thursday at 2 o'clock, there'll be a panel discussion with the stakeholders that will be speaking.
Yeah.
But and it is for the businesses, but it sounds like if citizens and residents of North Bend
If we have time at the end, for sure.
but they could come listen.
Yes, they can.
Okay, I just want to make sure that people are open to it. I'm sure his restaurant will be open if they want to partake in having a late lunch there, they could listen. And it's just, you wouldn't have enough time for everybody to speak.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. I wanted to make sure I understood that correctly.
And again, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Okay. All right, so that takes us to number 3 of our agenda, and that is the city councilor swearing in an oath of office. So we have Mr. Matt Hamilton here. Please come forward. believe our city recorder will be taking care of this item here. And then we can go for a photo. All right.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Matt Hamilton, do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution and laws
Constitution and laws
of the United States and the state of Oregon,
of the United States and the state of Oregon,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of North Bend,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of North Bend,
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge,
that I will faithfully and impartially
perform and discharge
perform and discharge
the duties of the office of counselor
the duties of the office of counselor
for the city of North Bend,
for the city of North Bend,
according to the law and to the best of my ability.
according to the law and the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
All right. So I'll have the council join me, and I'm going to congratulate Councilor Hamilton with the photo and first. All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Please, let's go ahead and take your first councilor photo. Get used to this, okay? We like telling people what we're doing and showing them the visual, so. You. All right. Let's see. I felt like I'll be your
You're all set.
counselors here, so. There we go.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Look at me. I know there's prettier people over there, but right now I'm the most important. Excellent, thank
You have
you.
to get used to David's jokes as well. All right, follow me. Okay. Ready to go? Here's the packet. And does Councilor Hamilton have an agenda already as well? We can still one. I'll take this one. Key contact information, maybe we don't have one.
Maybe not in one form.
Oh.
You can take it if it needs to be.
Perfect. All right. We're really good tonight. All right. Okay. We heard from Jenny? Yes.
Okay, so yes, Madam Mayor, let's see, Councilor Gall has an excused absence and Councilor Jones remains out. My wife and I went over and met with she and her husband. And so she remains out on leave excused. And so, and then obviously you'd mentioned that Councilor Garbodin's online, so.
Yes,
you
all
may
right.
Proceed.
Okay, thank you. All right, number 4 on the agenda is the appointment to the Water Board Budget Committee discussion. This is a agenda item request from Councilor Nordoff. So I will go ahead and Councilor Nordoff, I believe you have 5 minutes.
Actually, up to
Oh,
15
to 15 minutes.
of total discussion.
Got it. Okay.
I'll be quick. This matter concerns the city's disregard of the 2021 Circuit Court decision on my lawsuit over being removed from committee assignments during the June 8th, 2021 council meeting during other business without it being on the agenda when I was not at the meeting. Councilor Garbodin made the motion. The court decision said that I was to be reinstated to the committees from which I've been removed. I had been on the 2021 Water Board Budget Committee and was removed before the second and final June meeting. At our June 13th council meeting, I found a curious envelope labeled Garbodin on my desk. Here. Should come from administration was written underneath his name. No city envelope, no confidential stamp. I opened it at home and found a copy of my attorney's May 18th demand letter to City Attorney Mark Wolf. Referencing the Circuit Court decision, the letter gave a May 26 deadline for my reinstatement to the Water Board Budget Committee to avoid a contempt of court lawsuit and listed the available penalties upon conviction. I emailed Councilor Garbodin that I hadn't placed the letter in his mailbox but that I didn't blame him for thinking that I had. My email made its way to Administrator Milliron, who sent a widely distributed email last Wednesday evening. Council, I unintentionally caused a bit of confusion, but first a clarification. 1, the mayor appointed Jeff Bridges to the Water Board Budget Committee. The mayor notified me of her appointment, which I relayed to the Water Board. Forget past practices because they do not apply here. Coos Bay has charter language on water board appointments. North Bend does not. Moreover, the Water Board implemented a new policy that states the mayor can appoint a resident of her choosing. Since the charter and council rules are silent on this topic, this is what she did. That is saying that because the Water Board attorney says jump, the North Bend mayor and council say, ask how high. Mr. Milliron also says that Mayor Engelke was unaware of the letter from my attorney until May 23rd, when he had staff place the envelopes in council mailboxes, and that she appointed me not knowing of the demand letter. A bit of recent history. On January 11th, 2022, the council approved all manner of council appointments for council committees, council liaisons, and outside committee appointments. The full list was included in the council packet reviewed at the January 10th work session. Outside committee appointments included wording, action needed, review and appoint council members or staff and alternates to outside committees for 2022. Coos Bay North Bend Visitor and Convention Bureau, Coos Bay Urban Renewal Agency Board, Bay Area Enterprise Zone, Waterfront Development Partnership Project, Oregon Coastal Zone Management Association, Coos Curry Hazardous Waste Steering Committee, South Coast Development Council, Housing Needs Analysis, Housing Production Strategy Committee. All of these appointments required and obtained a council vote of approval. It would have been appropriate to also appoint someone to the Water Board Budget Committee in January, but Mayor Engelke did not do this. She appointed Tim Slater to the position on April 18th during other business, after saying in the previous day's work session that there would be nothing under other business. This year, Mayor Engelke placed an anonymous appointment on the April 18th meeting's consent calendar. When I questioned this, she stated that she was going to appoint the finance director to the Water Board Budget Committee. However, the April 18th council packet, page 26, states that Mayor Engelke would appoint a counselor with council confirmation. The mayor canceled the appointment without explanation. She maintains that she is able to make the appointment without council approval, which is not what the council rules say in chapter 2.04-100, boards, commissions, and lay committees. Point 7, nomination and confirmation. Confirmation shall require a majority vote. I don't believe that Mr. Milliron and Mr. Wolf would keep a demand letter speaking specifically about the mayor's actions secret from Mayor Engelke. I do believe that the city attorney's receipt of demand letter was the reason for the finance director's resignation the following day. Mayor Engelke, I valued the experience of serving on the Water Board Budget Committee. With my reinstatement, you avoided a contempt of court lawsuit seeking attorney's fees and damages. Thank you.
Okay. What is the will of the council on this discussion item? Did you have anything that you wanted to say or add or? Okay. Well, before we move on, I do want to address some of Councilor Nordoff's comments. And for those of you who are unaware, in June of 2021, the city council did remove Councilor Nordoff from all city boards, commissions, and lay committees. The reasoning behind the council decision to remove Councilor Nordoff from all city boards, commission, and lay committees is articulated in Judge Martin Stone's final order, which reads, prior to June 7th, 2021, there had been incidences of lack of decorum and failure to follow council rules by the petitioner, being Councilor Nordoff. So in the judge's words, the court is not suggesting that council acted without cause in removing Councilor Nordoff from committee and assignments on June 8th. The motion by Councilor Garbo was made in good faith following the most recent incident of lack of decorum the day before. Our current council rules specifically give the governing body the authority to remove sitting council members from any boards, from any city boards, commissions, and lay committees. However, the court ruled that we erred in our process by adding the removal under other business on our agenda because the counselor's behavior was not unforeseen, which was required under the city's former rules. So again, reading from the judge's order, the last minute addition of the substantive topic was not an unforeseen event under Rule 27. Councillor Garbodin's motion expressed an ongoing concern with Councillor Nordoff's lack of decorum during meetings, failure to follow council rules, and the expenditure of funds for training and staff time for the benefit of that one councillor. In other words, this behavior was ongoing and not unforeseen by Councillor Garbodin or other councillors. The most recent incident of lack of decorum was at the work session the prior day. The councillors had the opportunity to add the topic to the agenda approved at the work session, but did not. Moreover, the councillors had the opportunity to add the item at the start of the meeting on June 8th, but did not. So that is why the judge instructed us to reinstate Councillor Nordoff to any city boards, commissions, and lay committees for which she was removed. We took action nearly 18 months ago and reinstated Councillor Nordoff to the Parks Committee. We also changed our council rules to permit additions to the agenda per Oregon law. But yet, here we are, 2 years later, with untold legal expenses. Specifically, City Attorney Mark Wolf has given this council and our city administrator clear and direct legal advice on this matter, stating it is clear to me that Councillor Nordoff is not entitled to be on the Water Board Budget Committee, and for the reasons we've discussed and the reasons I provided in the council meeting. The Coos Bay North Bend Water Board's Budget Committee that Councillor Nordoff has cried foul about in our meetings, newspaper articles, and letters to the editor is not a city board, commission, or lay committee. The Water Board is a separate legal entity. It has recently implemented policy that affords Coos Bay and North Bend mayors to each designate an annual appointment to its budget committee without the action of this governing body. So in closing, I do want to apologize to the citizens of North Bend. This council has essential work to do, and extending an olive branch and appointing Councillor Nordoff to the Water Board's Budget Committee, which only meets twice annually in June, would have put this entire issue behind us and stopped the untold legal costs taxpayers are footing to defend the city's position. I know I'm frustrated, and I can only imagine that this council is as well. So let's move on. Next agenda item.
I believe that I have a rebuttal.
I
I do.
am not going to have a rebuttal at this point. You
Oh.
have spoke. I have spoke, and we're going to go ahead and move on from this and not take any further
It's good
time.
Mayor.
All right, next agenda item is,
Madam Mayor, this is the creation of the Special Events Committee resolution. I believe that our city attorney wants to chime in. He has been working on the resolution to bring forth, but needs some more guidance. And so I'm going to hand it over to our city attorney, Mr. Wolf.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon. I suppose we're still in the afternoon, Mayor and Council. Yeah, so the city recorder and I were working on a resolution to bring forward to help with the creation of this committee. And I guess a few questions that arose as a part of our drafting of this proposal is getting some clarity on whether or not this is going to be a council committee under your council rules, which is limited to sitting city councilors only, or if it would be a lay committee or a lay board, which your council rules are somewhat unclear on, as they provide that the qualifications are electors within the city. And then it goes on to discuss that city councilors would be limited to a liaison role, which would have no vote, which would be there'd be no advocacy on the part of the liaison. The liaison would simply be there to provide some guidance on what the council is expecting from this committee. So that was question number one, is it one of those two, or is it something altogether different that the council rules don't specifically provide, such as some sort of hybrid, multiple, single or multiple city councilors with, in combination with citizens and business leaders and those types of folks.
Okay,
That's question number one. And then along with that, what would the number of this, how many members would you like to have on this committee? And I think with that we could get you back a better resolution, and we might also need some guidance on what the specific purpose or aim and a time frame of when to report back to the council on its mission.
okay. So when our ad hoc committee had met, one of the things that we discussed was we felt it was really appropriate to have the feedback from the citizens about how they wanted to move forward with celebrating North Bend. So it definitely wouldn't be just a council committee. It would, I think we were envisioning a committee that has both a representation from council and residents of North Bend. So that would answer that would answer the first question, right?
Yes, yeah, I believe so. And how many counselors would you like, and how many?
Well, I would think that we would write it where it was up to not more than a quorum, right? Would that be the best way to say, if you had 2 or 3 people that wanted to volunteer, but you might only have one person from the council who wants to volunteer. So is there a way to set it from like 1 to 3 people from the council?
Yeah, and then potentially if it's not filled by the council, then it could be filled by citizens.
Yeah,
So 1 to 3.
yeah, I would say, no, you wouldn't want no more than 3, correct?
Well,
Does
that's
it-
really up to you. The quorum rules are different. Committees are still public once you have 2 members of the governing body on it.
Mhm. And you wanted to, what was the part about the time frame?
Yeah, is there a time frame that the council would like to hear a recommendation from this committee? Like within 6 months of its creation?
I would say sooner, probably within 60 days, maybe 60 to 90 days. Is that important? Do we need to set that in the resolution? We need to have a time frame?
We could put a kind of a looser time frame, but I think having a time frame will be helpful for this committee.
How many people were gonna be on the committee? Also, he asked.
Do you need to know how many residents? Or just council members?
I think both would be helpful. So if we have, 1 to 2, got like a total of,
Do we have limits, for example, like on the Parks Committee? Is there limits on how many people can be on that?
I don't know the answer to that. Administrator Milliron, do you know?
Different committees and boards have different limits. This is created by council, so it's the will of the council.
I mean, gosh, I don't know what if you got, all of a sudden, there's 30 people knocking at the door wanting to be on the committee, but also you,
On a committee that hasn't met since September of 2021, that one?
So one option would be to have and we could write it as it would be an odd number of members. Somewhere between 5 and 9, and then that depending on the.
and it would, if we're writing this as resolution, so Counselor Hamilton was asking if the number could be changed. So remind me what the process would be if you would want to change it? Like, I'm trying to figure out how,
Yeah, and it would be changed by resolution, and I might have cut out earlier, the resolution could set the committee membership at an odd number between 5 and 9. You'd have 5, 7, or 9, depending on the,
I think that would be good to start with. That'd be 5 to 9, including any from count. Okay, yeah. You get 2, go ahead.
You get 3 counselors and then 3 citizens per counselor.
Mhm.
And
Well, they have to be 4, because that's beyond,
9 and 3.
3 and 4 would be 7. Because it could be 5, 7, or 9.
Oh,
Yeah.
Depends on how
I think
many
that-
there's like
yeah.
6 people that really want to be.
Right. If there is a flood of people and we decide we need to have a 13-person committee, we can come back and fix that, but I think that would give us a good start between 3 and, or how did he word that? Between 3 and 5 and 9. 5, between 5 and 9.
What if they don't get 5 people though? What if it's only like 2?
We'll keep recruiting. Yeah.
yeah, and then lastly, just some direction or maybe guidance on what the purpose is and what this committee is going to bring back, and my notes show that the general purpose was to review and consider options for future celebrations,
Yeah, I think that's it. Mhm.
including how to sustain and or improve upon the July Jubilee celebration.
Mhm. I think how we'd have to look in my past notes, but how we worded it was, moving forward on how we celebrate North Bend.
So unless your city reporter has some additional questions as she was involved in this, then I think that we've got the direction that we need and can bring something back.
Okay. Any questions?
Well, I'm just wondering why this is seeing presentation, because every counselor except for yourself gave it on the scale of 1 to 8, I think, gave it a 3, and there was only 1 8, and it was yours. So I'm wondering why this is moving forward. Because at the meeting, I understood, and I was kind of surprised that it was going to involve somebody from the school district, somebody from the chamber, somebody from our 2 major business districts. And I went, okay, this is going to be a real time commitment, and that's why I'm not interested in serving on that committee. I'm just wondering why it is obviously a goal that it's moving forward, even though the balance of the council gave it sort of a low priority.
So to answer your first question, I think you might have some confusion on how the goals were ranked and how there are multiple things that move forward. It didn't mean if it had a lower ranking that it wasn't going to. And I don't know if our city administrator wants to speak to that, but.
So from the council goals, I believe you have your council goals in the packet, so we'll get to that. The July Jubilee, as the counselor says, is ranked very low overall. The reason this is moving forward at this time, Councilor Nordoff, is because the council authorized staff to move forward with a resolution. The council still has to vote on that resolution. So at that time, you either give it a thumbs up, thumbs down when you see the resolution. That's the will of the council.
So it's an exploration.
At this point, staff has been directed to bring forth a resolution. So we're doing our part to bring the resolution. What the council ultimately does with the resolution is the will of the council.
And then the last work session, we agreed as a group that we could move it forward.
Absolutely. Yes, that it'll come back to you all for a vote to decide whether or not you'll create a committee. Yes.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Wolf?
No, thank you.
Okay. Number 6 is review the city council agenda for June 27th. All right, so we have our meeting for tomorrow night in front of us. We'll see if our city administrator wants to kind of walk through some of these consent calendar items.
So, Madam Mayor, I foresee one ad. This is National Parks Week. I had sent our city recorder a draft proclamation. So if you and comfortable with it, we'll move forward with a ceremonial proclamation tomorrow and recognize our Parks and Park staff and the great work that they do in the city. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, sounds great. Any questions from the council?
Would that become 2 and then 3 would be consent calendar?
We'll add the traditional ceremonial, and so it's not a action item, if you will. And so
Thanks.
Should we invite the Parks Committee members so that they can meet each other, even though they were appointed a long time ago?
this recognizes actually staff in the parks itself. It'd be like honoring our fire, police, and the library. As far as the consent calendar, you have the approval of the minutes from the June 13th, 2023. If there's any additions, corrections, clarifications, this would be the time to address such.
All right, thank you.
All right, the second is an intergovernmental agreement for the behavioral health services for the North Bend Library. Our library services director is here to address this item, but otherwise it would be on the consent calendar.
Yes, so good afternoon. This first item is an intergovernmental agreement between the library and Coos County and their department, Coos Health and Wellness. I wanted to just speak to you about it briefly. This is an annual agreement. This is a renewal of a contract that we had previously, but I wanted to check to see if anyone on council had any questions about it or about the program or services that are being provided. This contract enables us to offer what we call our community engagement specialist in the library, and that person is a behavioral health professional and is providing direct public service to help people access resources that are things they need that are outside of a book or a traditional library reference encounter. It has been immensely successful. We do share the services with the Coos Bay Public Library. And Tammy, who's currently in that position, is meeting with approximately 90 individuals each month to help them really better their lives and be successful and happy out there in our community.
How often have you done this? Like you said, it's annually. How many annually have you adopted a new song?
So we have had one prior annual contract, and this one will cover the period of time from the time that that contract ended. Actually, we're backdating or retro the contract back to the end of November of 2022 last year, and it will cover services through the end of the coming fiscal year.
Any questions about any of that? No? Okay. All right.
All right, and then the next item that Ms. Haley will go over is actually a MOU or memorandum of understanding between our library and the Coos Bay Library.
Okay.
And the most important element of this memorandum of understanding is that the Coos Bay Public Library is agreeing to reimburse our library for half the cost of the contracted services. Otherwise, it just outlines staff responsibilities and supervision and is, again, a renewal of an existing MOU.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, for the benefit of the council, as you recall, for those that were on council, the first year was a pilot year.
Yeah.
It was actually provided through grant funds. The libraries now are absorbing the cost of this position within the budget. And so it is within budget, and both libraries have ponied up to continue the services for the community. The first year included Lakeside. They are not participating, so it will be split between our two libraries, Coos Bay and North Bend.
That's correct.
I was just gonna ask, and will you still track, the types of questions and services and all of that? Because it's interesting to see.
What people need.
Probably helpful,
Yes, we will. We do continue to track usage. We track the number of individuals. We track whether it's a first time encounter or a follow-up. We
Mhm.
also track agencies that we make referrals to because we are still actively pursuing outside funding for it.
Mhm.
And then lastly, just to follow up on what Mr. Milliron said, the program has been successful, and one of our goals in the pilot was to help not just our libraries here in Coos Bay and North Bend, but some of the smaller libraries out in the county with lesser resources. And even though it does not directly benefit our library, Coos Health and Wellness did find the program successful and has agreed to comp or allow one of their other behavioral health specialists to go to Lakeside 1 day a week for the hours that the program previously covered. And so I think for our community as a whole, and in terms of partnerships, it's had a really good outcome for our whole county.
Yeah, I think,
Mayor?
yes. Question.
That lady was really helpful when I helped with the point in time count, and I think it was February. She knows the ropes. She ran it like a pro.
Yeah.
She really did. And to come to find out, she also was the pianist for the musical being put on at the Little Theater on the Bay. So she's pretty talented.
We're very fortunate to have her.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, you'll then go into public comment. There'll then be a public hearing. This is something that was brought to you previously after there was a request on the marijuana sales and the hours. And so this is simply just mirroring the same hours allowed by state. And so if you have any questions about the ordinance, certainly our public works director is here, but simply just mimics what the council gave direction, which was basically a text amendment to change the hours.
Okay.
And then you do a public hearing, and then we'll go into the actual ordinance. And the next agenda item on here is resolution 3337. This is sleep site locations. You had a previous presentation by the Public Works Director. Again, you have aligned the hours. This is simply a resolution realigning the hours. So council gave staff direction, and so we just simply tweaked the hours. If there's any questions about any of that, now would be a great time, and we're here to address questions as well. All right, the next is number 7. This is page 24. You gave council gave staff direction to eliminate the ballparks and then tweak the verbiage on the pool. We have done so. At this point, it's before the council for adoption of your strategic goals for the 2023-2025 year, which is a 2-year cycle.
Okay.
And last but not least, there's a City of North Bend backup solution. We have our director of IT with us. This is a new item. It's on page 27 in your packet. This is James, who is our head of IT. And so you don't really always get to see him. He's always usually behind the scenes, but he's front and center for this one.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, City Council. So our backup solution is expired with Carbonite, which was bought out by Open Text. So to explain a little bit about what our backup does is we back up locally on a Carbonite server that we own, and then it backs up to the cloud. So it's saved in 2 locations, and then in the cloud, it's saved in multiple locations. So renewing that, we have a 3-year bid from Open Text and increasing our storage size from 3 to 4 terabyte, which will eliminate some of these small charges we get monthly because we've exceeded our limit of 3 terabyte. So I queried 2 other companies. One company, Enable, didn't even want to give us a bid when I explained what we wanted to do online and in the cloud, or actually on premises and in the cloud. And also with another company called iDrive. And they were competitive. However, they don't have anything locally. And best practice is that you have at least 2 places. So it's really important that we do have it in both places. That's part of our remediation policy. If we ever got compromised again, that we would be able to back everything from our servers, which would include our operating systems and all of our data. And the main data, which is on our main city server, which is our Cassell data, which does everything as far as budgeting and our public works stuff. So with looking at that, staff recommends that we continue with Carbonite. And one of the other things is that we could not export the data that we have from Carbonite to any other vendor. And we have several years of data there. Is that we continue with Carbonite for 3 years and increase the storage online and locally to 4 terabytes for $26,375.84.
Okay,
Madam Mayor and Council, this is a budgeted item. It would require council approval to the expenditure. For those not aware, a terabyte, the entire Library of Congress is about 10 terabytes, 4,000.
So 100 gigabyte per terabyte.
Yeah, so about 4,000 copies of the Encyclopedia Britannica would be 4 terabytes.
It's quite a
It
bit of
just
data.
gives you sort of kind of an idea. It's easier just to tell you it's a buttload.
and very important and necessary.
Very important. It's all of our
Yeah.
storage and backup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we do not anticipate any executive sessions. We'll follow up with city administrators report if there are any committee reports and then council comments. We do not at this point expect any any other business. And then it's back to your agenda for the work session, which is adjournment. So it's back to you,
Okay,
Madam Mayor.
no URA this week then.
No.
Okay, all right, well, just in celebration of Mark Hamilton's first council meeting, we made that one really quick, didn't we?